Think about a meal you know well. Somewhere on the plate, or sitting next to it in a paper carton, there is probably a pile of hot, golden fries. It is one of the most familiar, pervasive comfort foods on Earth. But this simple root has a heavy past. It fueled European armies, sparked massive population booms, and starved 1 million people to death. To find its real starting line, we have to travel 10,000 years back, up into the thin, freezing air of the South American Andes. This crop emerged from a rocky, frozen vacuum, forcing early humans to radically adapt to an environment where traditional agriculture withered. Farming at 14,000 feet is punishing physical labor. The Quechua and Inca worked these steep, dark slopes where common crops failed. Wild Andean potatoes were saturated with a bitter, lethal poison. Making them safe for consumption required thousands of years of human intervention. They solved this with a brutal physical process. They left the roots out to freeze in the night air, walked on them in the morning, and baked them in the blinding sun to remove toxins. They called the result chuño, a stable food that could last for 15 years. But their true survival strategy was biological. These early farmers cultivated thousands of distinct, colorful varieties across multiple elevations. If a frost or a pest killed one variety, another lived. The Inca treated genetic diversity as a mandatory defense against the mountain's unpredictability. When Spanish ships eventually carried this root back across the Atlantic, Europe initially rejected it. Because it was related to deadly nightshade, people branded it the devil's apple and refused to eat it for 150 years. King Frederick of Prussia finally forced adoption through a psychological trick. He planted a field of potatoes and surrounded it with armed guards to create a sense of artificial value. Convinced the king was protecting something precious, his subjects stole the potatoes at night and planted them in their own gardens. The crop eventually reached Ireland, where its massive caloric yield triggered a demographic explosion. In just 40 years, the Irish population nearly doubled. But in doing so, they completely discarded the Andean model. The Irish agricultural system relied almost entirely on a single cloned variety called the lumper. This absolute efficiency created a massive illusion of strength, masking a deeply fragile biological monoculture. In 1845, a ship arrived at the port of Liverpool carrying a microscopic wind-borne fungus. Because every single potato plant in Ireland shared identical DNA, the fungus met zero biological resistance. Within weeks, the leaves turned black. The nation's entire food supply rotted into soft, wet mush while still buried in the ground. 1 million people died from starvation and the diseases that prey on weakened bodies. Millions more fled on desperate, crowded coffin ships. While families starved, British economic rules prioritized market prices over human life. Grain ships and livestock continued to leave Irish ports, exported to foreign buyers, while the local population had nothing. The Great Famine was a total collapse, driven by placing absolute faith in a single, homogeneous solution. Today, the potato is the 4th largest crop on Earth. It feeds billions, cultivated on massive industrial scales, from India to China. Yet global agriculture is repeating the 1840s. Modern farms rely on fewer varieties than ever before, trusting their stability to massive fields of identical genetic clones. This risk is why we built a backup drive in a remote mountain in Norway. The Svalbard Seed Vault holds 13,000 unique varieties of potato seeds. It is an emergency facility designed to protect against future systemic biological collapse. A single, optimized solution is incredibly efficient, right up until the moment it breaks. To protect our future, we are relearning the ancient Andean wisdom. True resilience is only found in diversity.